Good morning, Rick. How are you, my man?
I think I've been writing 111 years now.
It's been, when was your first writing gig was for the Daily Camera, which is in Boulder, Colorado, which would have been around what year?
That was 1979.
Oh, wow. So this has been, to put it into perspective, I was 4 years old at that time. I'm 38
don't
now.
rub it in. You got to say that.
And so what, did you start writing sports-related pieces for them, or did you do other stuff and move into sports?
I won the high school sports writing contest, and I got a job, right out of high school. And started writing, and I've been nonstop writing sports ever since, which is why I'm quitting. I'm quitting writing sports writing on June 9th, and I'm going into the Hall of Fame, which is a little place for sports writers. And then we're moving to Italy, and I'm going to write books and movies. And so this book is sort of like sort of my Valentine to sports writing.
So you have just had enough of sports writing for one lifetime, is what you're telling me.
I think they've had enough of me. No, there's only about 7 sports columns in the world, and I think I've written each one 11,000 times. Like this Darryl Sterling thing, I've been writing it, but it's exactly the story we did in '96 on Marge Schott. With the racist rants and the Nazi armband, and I wrote that for Sports Illustrated, and she got kicked out of the league. Donald Sterling is just Marge Schott with larger breasts,
So what you're saying is that in all of your years that you've been writing about sports, you're just seeing the same story over and over again. It's just the names that have changed.
Quite often it is. I've been writing about steroids for 30 years and racism, great players. This column that just posted today was on Derek Jeter. I had a half hour with Derek Jeter. And, there's great guys, there's idiots, there's people who try to be great but can't, there's people full of self-loathing, there's people who do great things quietly, there's wonderful tippers, there's terrible tippers. I've done all the stories, so I'm ready to try music and film.
So you sat down with Derek Jeter. Everyone loves Derek Jeter, and they go, this is such a great guy. Is all of that true?
Well, I've been covering him 20 years. He's like, here's what he does. Like, he just, there's a go-to guy on every baseball team when things are going bad, and it's never the superstar guy. Like with the Cubs, it was always Mark Grace. But with the Yankees, it's also Derek Jeter, because he just has this way of not pushing the panic button. Mm-hmm. And you see him on road trips, and he's always eating lunch with the rookies or the new guys to say, look, this is how we do it. And he's always kidding people, press, writers, and yet he never makes anybody mad. He's dated the most beautiful women in New York for 20 years, and yet have you ever seen him in an Instagram picture doing something stupid? You never see him at a Vegas pool party. You never see him punching anybody. My God, David Wells got to New York and punched somebody in the first 3 weeks.
Do you think that the legacy of an athlete or their perception by the public, is that mostly controlled by people like you, sports writers, and the media? For instance, if a guy in a locker room or in an interview is a jerk to you, or something just rubs you the wrong way, even maybe he's not overtly a jerk, you may not be nice to him in whatever piece you're writing. Do you think that they have to be savvy enough to really make friends with the media?
Well, it helps, but those days are gone. Those days are gone now. They pretty much make their own bed with Twitter and Instagram. You find out who a guy is pretty quickly on digital media. Mm-hmm. If he's an idiot, or he can't spell, or he's always tweeting at 2 a.m, he's going to make his own image. And a guy like Derek Jeter's not on Twitter, not on Instagram. He stays in, plays Scrabble. He's not a guy that's going to get in trouble. Shaq. I think Shaq was one of the greatest athletes, most fun athletes I ever covered, and he just has fun with it. He's not serious. I remember writing a column about him at Christmas. He'd dress up as Shaka Claus, and he'd go into South Central and just hand out just tons and tons of toys to kids. He did the same thing at Easter. And you write these things, and people are like, wow, Shaq is a good guy. I didn't know. And so same with Kobe Bryant. There's people that are really terrific people who actually care that keep it quiet. And sometimes that's my job to let you know that, hey, he's not only a great athlete, he's a fun person who cares about people.
Well, let's talk about maybe people that aren't so great. I mean, the title of your book is Tiger, Meet My Sister, and Other Things I Probably Shouldn't Have Said, which basically means you wouldn't want your sister dating Tiger Woods and that Tiger Woods is a jerk.
Well, it was less than that. It was a column I wrote using sentences that have never been uttered in the history of the English language, like Shaq, you shoot the technical, or Tebow was so freaking drunk last night, or Tiger, meet my sister. And people are like, did he really meet your sister? Did something happen? No, it's just a joke. Really, in the last 6 years, would you really want Tiger to meet your sister? And so it was mostly just for laughs.
Well, you are not a big fan of Tiger Woods, the man. You're probably a fan of his game. He's if not the best, one of the best golfers of all time. But him as a person, you don't really like Tiger Woods, do you?
Right, but I mean, I just happen to think you can't just be 99% one way. Like he does have the greatest golf skills I've ever seen. You know, I saw where Adam Scott became number one. It's the second week he's ever been number one. You know, Tiger Woods has been number one 683 weeks in his life. Second place is Greg Norman, 331 weeks. So that's more than twice. Well, it's the second. That record will never be broken. So if he's not the greatest golfer of all time, he's the second greatest. But somehow he thinks that's enough. Like he doesn't have good manners. He doesn't tip. He doesn't sign. Everything is a swear word. Every joke is dirty. I don't know how he got that way, but all this Buddhism stuff, it hasn't changed him.
Well, what I find interesting is you've said in the past that Tiger Woods he's a poor tipper, or he doesn't tip at all. Now, most normal people living in the United States of America look at that and they go, hey, I go out to Applebee's and I tip the waitress 20%, and I only make $40,000 a year, not $40 million a year, or whatever the hell Tiger Woods makes. That really irks people. Why do you think I mean, how does a guy who makes or who has that much money not know I should get? Because it's no skin off his back, literally, at all.
Right. Well, literally it's not, but it irks me because it's a reflection on how you see people. Like I just had a golf lesson with Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson will go to a lemonade stand, a little girl selling lemonade, 50 cents, and he'll leave her 100. He'll leave the guys at the Masters clubhouse $2,000 each. I've seen him just tip $100 to car valet, give his umbrella to a guy in a rainstorm. He's just a guy. He's at the very top of the world, but he still wants to help people who are helping themselves. But for some reason, Tiger Woods is worth $500 million. Do you realize a $100 bill to a guy worth $500 million is the same as 4 cents to a guy making the average income in America, which is $27,000. 4 cents. And he never pulls it out. I know a car valet in L.A., he has to stand in front of the seat just to get his $2. Hey, that doesn't make him. It's like Tebow. You don't admire the game, you admire the man. With Tiger, you admire the man. I mean, you admire the game, but not the man.
Rick Reilly is on with us. His book is Tiger, Meet My Sister, and Other Things I Probably Shouldn't Have Said. It's a collection of essays and some footnotes on those essays from his career. One of the criticisms of Rick Reilly, and I found this interesting, one of the criticisms is that people say you plagiarize your own work. They said he lifts lines from his own articles that he wrote 6 or 7 years ago. Now, I've heard of people being criticized for plagiarizing other authors' work, but never really their own.
Apparently I have good taste, I guess. You're the first person to ask me that, and I'm kind of glad you did. What happens is, when you're a sports writer and you've been writing columns for 36 years, every week you'll write 3 or 4. Like you'll start one get rid of it. And then you'll finish one and hate it. And then the third one you really like. But the other two stay in your computer. And so the time that happened was right after the Super Bowl, and I was going on vacation, and I had to find one quickly. They needed one like in 3 hours. And I was like, God, what do I have? So I went through my computer and found an idea. Well, this is pretty good. So I took the idea that was half done and made it into a whole column and wrote it. And then when I came back from vacation, I see all these tweets. You already used that column. And apparently I had already run the column like 7 years before. So I apologize. But so I'm saying there's only 7 columns.
Did you really, throughout your career of sports writing, did you really enjoy it, or did it become work? Like you said, you do 4 columns. You're working on it, you throw some away. I've wanted to be in radio since I was 8 years old. I enjoy coming to work every day. It sucks waking up this early, but I still enjoy it. The day that I don't enjoy it anymore, I'll figure out something else to do. Have you enjoyed it for the 40 years or 35 years or however long you've been doing it? Have you enjoyed your career?
Oh, God, yes. I mean, when I was 7 years old, I had my own newspaper, and it was all full of sports. And I'd take it around in a wagon. I remember when I played high school baseball, I'd write up little pretend articles about myself and my teammates. This is exactly what I wanted to do. But finally, at 56 years old, you want to like when a dog has an electric fence and then the owner dies and then the electricity bill doesn't get paid and so the fence goes dead, but the dog still doesn't leave the yard.
Right.
So I've been able to afford to leave the yard for a few years, but I just haven't left. And so now I'm really taking a plunge. I love trying new things. That's why I left Sports Illustrated to go to ESPN. And so I'm going to take the plunge. I'm going to see if I can make it in other fields. I still love writing, but I'm so ready to leave the yard. When
you left Sports Illustrated and went to ESPN, is that when they launched ESPN, the magazine? Was it about the same time?
No, ESPN, the magazine. By the time I left in 2007, the magazine had been out like 10 years.
Oh, all right.
It's now like 15 years. And it's a good magazine. It keeps getting better. But the magazine business is dying. It's everybody, even the book business, everything is digital now. I mean, I'll write this book, most sales will be on the Kindle.
Yeah, instead of the actual print. Give me a prediction, Rick. Johnny Manziel, since we're based, our home base station is here in Cleveland. Johnny Manziel coming to the Browns. Do you think that was a good draft pick by the Browns, and what do you see in the future there?
I really like the kid. He's much less incendiary than people think. He's not much trouble. I know a lot of guys who've worked with him in the off season. They say he's just really a good kid that gets down to business. He cares about others. So he likes to have fun when it's time to have fun, and when he wants to play, he really plays hard. So I think he'll be a decent pro. I don't think he'll be a Hall of Famer, but it seems to me the Browns have so many other problems, so many problems. But I was thinking the other day, happiness is your general manager telling you, hey, you have to beat up Brian Hoyer. Like, oh, no, what will I do?
Let me ask you about one other Cleveland sports legend, LeBron James. Now, here's a guy, we were talking about Tiger, who doesn't tip. LeBron James, notorious bad tipper, at least from everyone that I've come across. I've met LeBron. I found him to be rather douchey. What's your take on LeBron James?
Well, actually, my experience with him has been great. There was this girl I wrote about. She was in Wisconsin. She had stage 4 cancer. She was in chemotherapy. She'd go for like 4 straight days, not leaving the hospital. That's how bad the chemotherapy was. And the 5th day, she would leave and go start for her high school basketball team. She was still good enough. She was the best player on the team by far. And even with chemotherapy, she was still good enough to start. But she is dying. And her goal was to meet LeBron James. So her teammates started this Twitter campaign called LeBron meet Ebony. Her name was Ebony. And I took up this campaign and wrote a column about it, and it got really big. And we had like 200,000 tweets about LeBron meet Ebony. He saw it. He took time out of his schedule and really spent time with this girl. Brought her to the game, worked out, let her shoot with him, signed everything, had a nice long talk with her, and took pictures with her. And then afterwards, talking to him about it, a reporter said that he almost started crying. He said he couldn't believe that this girl was so strong and that her wish was to meet him when really he felt like it was his privilege to meet her. So I know people say, in Ohio especially, that he's douchey. But with me and the thing he did for this girl, it was unforgettable.
Rick Reilly's giving LeBron a good name on my airwaves. My God.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, geez. No, but why? I'll give you an example. I've gone to many restaurants here, and in fact, I go down to Miami Beach quite a bit. Now LeBron is with Miami, and some of the guys in the restaurants that I go to down there know that I'm from up here, and LeBron will come up, and I've asked waiters in places like Prime 112 and Joe's Stone Crab down in Miami Beach. And they will tell me the same thing that the waiters up here told me, which is LeBron is a horrible, horrible tipper, just like Tiger Woods, I guess. I mean,
why? I don't know why, and I know what you're getting to. But my experience for 36 years in this business is that the bigger the athlete is, the fewer people he has to tell him no. There's just nobody with Tiger. Maybe there's nobody with LeBron who's going to say, "Hey, that's not right. You can't do that to people that are making $20,000 a year. These people, they depend on tips for their living." Well, I'm not saying I haven't experienced with LeBron tipping. I have with Tiger, and there's just not enough people in this day and age because the money's so big and everybody wants to hang on to that gravy train. So everybody in Tiger's camp is yes, oh yes, and never. No, now look, son, you got to stand up,
right,
and do the right thing, and I think that's too bad. Not to get back to Jeter, but he hates excuse makers. The faults I've found with him over the years is he doesn't put up with people who don't live by a code of morals. He grew up having to sign a contract every year as a kid with his parents, outlining how he would behave. And it's almost like he's lived and signed that contract every year since. So when people cheat with steroids or cheat on the field or do stuff that he doesn't approve of, he cuts them loose. I mean, they're gone forever. And people always said, baseball his last 20 years have been completely steroid era. And he always stands up and says, not all of us. Not all of us. And so a guy like Tiger or perhaps LeBron might need a guy like Derek Jeter around.
Rick Reilly is on with us just for another minute or two. His book is called Tiger, Meet My Sister, and Other Things I Probably Shouldn't Have Said. One of the things I have, actually, Dieter, my co-host, and I have wanted to do is the running of the bulls in Pamplona. You've done it, and it gave me a new, if Rick Reilly can do it, I'm thinking, I might be able to do this. Give me some tips.
Well, it's terrifying. A lot of people stay up drinking the whole night before, so they have no idea what they're doing, and they fall down in front of you. And these bulls have not stayed up all night drinking. They are flying. I mean, they are moving. And so I did it twice. And the first time it just happened so quick. You just hear this mass of people and bulls and screaming coming at you because you're going through this little town of Pamplona, and it's lots of curves, Dead Man's Curve, and so suddenly there's the bull, and you're diving against the wall and hoping you don't get gored. And the second time I was able to touch the bull with a newspaper and then try to chase them into they all run to a bull ring in which these crazy Spanish people have the bulls come at them and jump over them and crazy stuff. So all I can say is get your rest and have on really good shoes.
The first time that you went out there, did you Did you do the running of the bulls without witnessing it first? Meaning, like, I might do it, but I kind of want to see what it's all about in person and check it out, like on day one, and then maybe do it on day two. Did you observe before you ran, or did you just go for it?
Dude, you got to do it. You got to do it. So they do it for 6 straight days. You get on a balcony the first day and you watch and you figure out where you're going to run, where you're going to stand, where you're going to hide. Can you make it as fast as they can to the ring? You can. Do you start right towards the end or do you do it at the beginning? It's such a thrill. So then the second day you watch again. Then the third day you get out there and I chickened out. I got out there and I hid instead of ran. And then the fourth day, I ran, I didn't chicken out, I touched the bull, and I had on a GoPro on my hat, and because I was filming it for ESPN, and I was like, oh, I touched the bull, man, and it's going to be such good video, and I felt up for the GoPro, and it was gone. So I had to double back looking for the GoPro, and as I'm looking for it, there's a bull. There had been a big accident on a Dead Man's Curve, and some people gored, so they shut down the course, but there were still these bulls, and a bull was just me and a bull looking at me. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is where I'm going to die. And the bull was about to charge me when somebody on the other side of the street whistled and saved me. So it's no joke, man. You got to be ready.
You've never seen a 50-year-old guy run a 4.40 before, have you, Dieter? He did it in Pamplona. Before I let you go, let me go. Frank has a quick question for Rick Reilly. Frank, you're on Rover's Morning Glory. Go ahead, Frank.
Yo, Rover.
Yo, what's up?
Hey, Rick, I have a question for you, man. I see that you're really, really passionate about sports, but I also witness a lot of time on ESPN that they're kind of against the UFC. What's your take on it?
UFC and MMA. Do you think that ESPN is against that, Rick?
No, I think they're gaining popularity all the time. I can remember soccer on ESPN 10 years ago. You'd hardly see a highlight. Now look at it. We own the World Cup as far as American rights go. There's soccer in the top 10 every night, and it just took us a while to come around to it. I think boxing is dying compared to MMA, and I think MMA will continue to get bigger and more popular at ESPN. I know the guy who runs it, ESPN, John Skipper, is getting into it. He likes it. So, no, I don't think they're against it at all.
Why isn't boxing learning their lesson? The reason boxing is dying isn't because anything's wrong with the sport or the athletes. It's because the people making the matches aren't making good matches. These are all lopsided, one-way affairs. Are they going to learn their lesson to put together some good matches?
I don't think so. I haven't seen good matches in a long time, and you get the feeling they're setting you up for, a 3-match set, so he'll fight him this time, he'll lose to him the second time, and we'll do the rubber game. And everybody will get paid like crazy. So I'm so disappointed in boxing. It used to be my favorite. And I don't know. I mean, what is the heavyweight class now? It's nothing.
Yeah, there's exactly. The one last question for Rick Reilly. If you could sit down and do an interview with anyone, any athlete, any owner, anyone anywhere really, who would you choose and why?
Mike Tyson, because he's just so complex. He's kind of an idiot savant. He's a genius on some subjects, and he can't change a dollar. Sometimes you'll meet him sometimes, and he'll be just so crackling with energy and brains, and then the next time he'll just be just self-loathing and sleepy-eyed, and he's on some kind of medication, and then the next time he'll do something great for people, and then the next time he'll be caught in a car with a hooker and a line of coke on the dashboard. And he was the most intimidating athlete I ever saw when he was fighting, and then he also gave the worst effort at times. So I just find him fascinating. The problem is you set it up and then he doesn't show, or he gets mad, or he only gives you 2 minutes, or it's just he's far too non-dependable to write a book on or a column.
Rick Reilly's book is Tiger, Meet My Sister, and Other Things I Probably Shouldn't Have Said. It is available in stores now, and Rick, I appreciate you coming on the show, and good luck with the book. One of the last Rick Reilly written pieces, I guess, we'll get, supposedly.
Well, on sports, yes, but hopefully we can make our way in some other field.
Gardening is what he's conquering next. Rick, I appreciate it, my man. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Rick Reilly.